So as we all know, layoffs are happening across the board, and it's gonna continue to happen all the way till the end of the year, and it's gonna restart up heavily in 2025. We know that, but there is a new crisis going on with individuals who are trying to buy a house. They are just now feeling the regret of buying a home and being in the down economy and them potentially being laid off. They're now skipping meals and delaying medical procedures to cover housing costs. Now, while some of us may not think that this is a big surprise, a lot of the country is starting to feel this now. A lot of the middle America individuals are starting to feel like, ooh, things are getting really tight. People who are already trying to make ends meet, living paycheck to paycheck, this is nothing new. This is nothing new. You shuffle around some bills, and this is just something that you do to make ends meet. But the rest of the country, they're now getting a taste of that, guys. They are now seeing, maybe I shouldn't have bought that house. I shouldn't have paid $100,000 over asking. What? Are you telling me the prices are going down? My house that I just bought, the house that I just bought, it's going down in value. A lot of these individuals are saying that to themselves, and it's not looking good. My name is Orlando. Welcome to the channel, guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help out the channel. And also, too, guys, I have a newsletter. Yes, a newsletter. It will give you tremendous value, and it's free. How can you beat free? You can't beat it. And if you need any type of financing for commercial or investment properties, I am your guy. I've been a lender for almost 20 years. I can assist you with that. That information is in the pinned comment and in the description. You will hear directly from me, guys. Listen, Americans earning under $50,000 are skipping meals, selling belongings, and delaying medical care to cover housing costs. Now, again, I have said this over and over again, and I said this previously earlier, that individuals, there is a certain type of individuals that are going to say, what, Orlando, this isn't new. I've been doing this since the 1990s. And I would say, we need to have a talk why you are still in this position. Why are you still in this position since 1990? We need to have that conversation. But listen, guys, a lot of the middle of America are now starting to feel the hardship of them buying that home or renting these luxury apartments, because that's something that we haven't talked about. A lot of times individuals will say, you know what, I don't want to buy a house, but then they turn around and they rent a luxury apartment for $3,000. Yeah, I said that correctly. You're renting a luxury apartment in Atlanta in the middle of Buckhead for $3,000. And they say, oh, you must be making a lot of money. Oh no, I only make $80,000.
Are you crazy?
You rent a $3,000 apartment and you're driving around a BMW? Make it make sense to me.
Who does that?
A lot of people are in that predicament. And then when I say, okay, let me see what your budget is. Oh, let me see exactly what you're spending your money on. The graphs are out of this world. You might as well make a whole pie graph and it all be red. 99.9% goes on material things. It goes on restaurants. That's a huge one. Your housing costs, which is your rent or your mortgage. And then a car. That's what most people spend their money on. A car, housing, and food.
I'm a human being. My life has value.
And unfortunately, just because I say that does not mean individuals will budget correctly for those things. You can have one person who spends $3,000 on a luxury apartment, who also spends $4,000 in DoorDash. And then you think, what are you doing?
What are you doing, man?
Many Americans spend more money on housing than they do on any other expense. Given the way that the cost of housing has risen, it is not a surprise to learn that lower earners are struggling to keep up. In October 2024, the cost of shelter was up 4.9% on a year-to-year basis, according to the Customer Price Index. So what does that mean? That means, let me just cut it. Let me just say exactly what the solution is. You make less money, you spend less money.
Wow.
Does that make sense? Let's say it together. You make less money, so you spend less money.
Oh, now I see. Now I get it.
This does not mean if I make $50,000, I need to spend every penny of it plus an additional $30,000, $40,000 in debt. That's what people are doing. You don't believe me? Oh boy. Look, The funny thing is that people will say, Orlando, I don't believe you, and then be 1 degree from someone who does that. Your dad, your mom, your best friend. You're like, I know, I've never seen that, Orlando. It doesn't exist. And then you know 10 other people that do it.
Come on, man!
And then a lot of people will literally be watching this video and go, that sounds crazy. $50,000? And then you spend an additional $30,000? That's crazy.
That's crazy!
Yet that same person spends $100,000 and spends $70,000 in debt. It's the same thing. So it's not surprising that 74% of Americans earning less than $50,000 per year regularly struggle to afford their mortgage and rent. What is the shock though is the sacrifices some lower earners making to keep a roof over their head. In fact, 24% of Americans earning under $50,000 have skipped meals to afford their rent or mortgage payments, and 23% have been forced to sell their belongings. Now, do I think that is surprising? I don't, especially when you go to the grocery store and you now see things just ridiculously priced. Remember when you could go and get a thing of eggs and it was a dollar, $1.30, something like that, $1.50. Now you go look at eggs and they're $4, $5. You go get milk and milk is being pushed up. You go get meat, any chicken, steaks, any seafood, stuff like that. Everything has went up in prices. And not only has things went up in prices, things have gotten smaller. Now when you go and you get a bag of chips, it's 99% air. That's the truth. They may put 4 to 5 chips in the bag to satisfy you, but other than that, it's all air. And as you know, Ragu sauce is still expensive, guys. Listen, I'm telling you, when you go to the grocery store and you can buy 10 items, and they come over $100, then we have an issue, guys.
Something ain't right.
There's a bigger issue at heart. You saw that I did a video previously when I talked about the merger and how that was going to bring up prices and how you can't trust these individuals, how you can't trust these companies, how you should put you and yourself family first. Remember when I said that? This same thing applies to this.
Write it down and keep it for future reference.
Why would you put yourself in a scenario where you're going to buy a home that is overvalued? And not only that, you have seen price cuts happen in your neighborhood over and over and over. You've seen the price cuts happen. You've seen the houses sit on the market longer and longer and longer. You know why? Because you've been looking. You've been watching. You are seeing the prices go down, but also you're seeing layoffs happen. You're also hearing rumblings at your job. Ooh, things are getting a little shaky. They're cutting bonuses this year because our profits weren't higher. Do you think this is a great time for you to be non-flexible? Let's make that an actual conversation point. Do you think that it's better to be in a down economy, not flexible at all, stuck in a mortgage that you overpaid, everything is quote unquote fixed, except the things that matter, insurance, real estate taxes. Those things are continuing to go up. The value of the property is going down, no matter if it's going down in small increments. Do you think it's better to be locked in, can't move, have no flexibility, or do you think it's better to be in a flexible position? Meaning, renting, saving your money, working on your credit, budgeting? What's wrong with that? Well, based on the detractors will tell you, hey, don't worry about that. Go ahead and buy a house right now.
Wait, what?
Don't worry about it. If you're going to keep your house for over 3 years, don't worry about it. Who cares what the price is today? Who cares what fees you pay? Who cares what interest rates you pay? But then when you go to the grocery store, not only are you paying 2 times more, but now you can buy cheese on layaway. Only if you get a credit card, Afterpay, any of these other buy now, pay later credit cards are debt mechanisms that they're going to try to get you to use. Imagine you going to the grocery store, getting 10 items, cheese, Ragu sauce, meats, all this noodles, and you're paying 26% interest on Ragu sauce? We can do better than that. We can do better than you paid 26% interest on Ragu sauce. Would you even say that to someone? Would you say, yes, I paid 26% interest on ragu sauce. Would you want to say that? No, you wouldn't. Let's not even put you in that realm to where you have to do things like that. But why are people doing things like that? Why are people making these decisions? It's because now they regret their housing decision. It doesn't matter if it was them buying that $50,000 home or them getting into that luxury apartment that you knew you couldn't afford. Do you think that some of these landlords will be like, oh, well, I mean, she's a little close. How is she going to live? Is she going to be able to buy food? They're not looking at it like that. They're like, well, you say you got the rent. I mean, you work someplace. She could pay half of the rent.
It's an evil world we live in.
What the landlord or the housing or whoever, the property management team doesn't know is that you always spend 5 times more than you make. They don't know that. So they're going to say, oh, you said you can afford this $3,000 based on the numbers you can? Hey, great, good. You knew that you couldn't afford it. A lot of times in these scenarios, people allow the loan officer, they allow the property management at the apartment complex to tell you what you can afford. A lot of people go in there and say, I make this much, can I get it? Shouldn't you know beforehand? Shouldn't we know beforehand, before you walk into that apartment complex or try to get a loan? You should know, like, I don't want to pay more than XYZ. People have this mentality on cars, but they don't have this mentality when it comes to their housing. And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I didn't want to make this a long rant video because the point of the video is this, is that you have to budget. You have to make sure that you put you and your family in the best position that you possibly can. And to do that, you have to do math. You have to do math, guys. And I promise you, if you just do the math, it will pencil out. I promise you. Just do the math. The numbers will tell you exactly what to do. Unfortunately, when you throw in numbers and emotions, people make different decisions. So hopefully you've got some insight on this video. Hopefully you got value off of this video. Again, guys, it's going to get worse before it gets better. This is the reason why you should not overpay. This is the reason why you should put you and your family first, guys. And as always, you won't get all of your content from this one video. I need you to watch this video right here. Yes, this one right here. It will give you information on the housing market, financial news, and get you into your first rental property. And guess what? The information, it will be gold. See you in the next one. Thanks.